Hi everyone. As you can probably read from Blackboard, my name is Diana. I also go by Dee. And I saw this week that we could do a video for our discussion, and I thought that'd be kind of different and fun. And I also just got back from derby practice, and I really want to go get in the shower, so I thought this would be a fast track to make that happen. So for the discussion this week, we were provided with a list of questions or prompts, and as I was reading through them, there were a couple that really resonated with me and made me think back to what I heard, because I did an audio book of Silent Spring. I commute a lot, so it's a lot of time for me to listen to audiobooks. So the first one I want to focus on is the second question. Why does she suggest that chemical insecticides and herbicides be called biocides? What idea is she expressing by using this word? I think she's suggesting changing or using the word biocides over insecticides and herbicides because, as she's clearly provided evidence for, it's not just insects and herbs that are being affected by the chemicals. It's us, it's animals, it's our interactions with the insects and the herbs and animals. So I think that it's just she's trying to get to the bigger picture of the chemicals being used. Is she opposed to the use of all toxins? I don't think so. I actually think that I heard in a few chapters that she said, this is not to say that I'm against or that there's no place for chemicals, that there's no place for this anywhere. She made it very clear that that's not what she was saying. And in the articles, the supplemental readings that were posted for this week too talked about the same thing. And I think because of the impact that this book had on the use of DDT and other chemicals, that people maybe forget that she wasn't 100% opposed to the use of chemicals. She just wanted it to be based in reality, and for it to not do as much harm as it's done as it did in the past. I think that was even in the first chapter. She said, yeah, there's a place for them, but they should be based in reality and cause no harm. The last question of the second prompt is, why is runoff in rivers in the ocean such a serious problem? And just from what I heard in the book and even through the other classes that I'm taking this semester, my understanding of runoff is that it can create dead zones. So I think one of the examples, and I don't remember if it was in this book or maybe something else I read for a different class, but was talking about the Mississippi River and the runoff that leads into the Gulf of Mexico, and how all along that area there's a lot of life that can't survive anymore because of the runoff. The Mississippi River runs through many states and catches all of that kind of leftover chemicals, which gets into the river stream and then flows down to the Gulf and then creates these dead zones. So I think that's part of the reason why it is such a serious problem. Another question or prompt that kind of made me think a little bit, well, they all made me think, but that really made me think, was number 5, after reading Silent Spring. How do you characterize its author? Is she a science writer, an environmental activist, a philosopher, or how else? And I think this question made me think, well, she's kind of a little bit of everything, and it made me relate it back to the whole idea of interdisciplinary within environmental studies, because she was stating fact and she was writing from kind of a reporting style, citing a lot of research studies and case studies and facts and statistics, but she also made it, she posed some hard questions, and there were moments where I was listening to the book on my drives, and I would be like, damn, like that's a downer, like, okay, like way to really bring down the mood, because she wasn't just stating fact and she wasn't just saying this is how it is. She was also kind of making the reader or the listener do some self-reflection, think about, like, well, if it's acceptable for this, or if it's not acceptable for something to happen. I can't think of a specific question right now, but she made it more of a reflective kind of process by posing some of those questions, some of those more philosophical questions. I think she definitely was also writing it from an environmental activist perspective. I think she wanted to see change. So to say that she was an environmental activist wouldn't make sense. But I think in general, she did a nice job of balancing all of those, like both by being like a science writer and the activist and a philosopher. It really made the book an intriguing read, kind of a challenging read personally. And yes, there were moments of despair and frustration, but it's also hopeful in a way, because her book did inspire a lot of change. So I think at the end of it, she was all three. I think she did a nice job being all three. Okay. Well, that's all I have for now. There were other, like I said, there are other questions that kind of did stand out to me, but these two were the ones that really made me remember a lot about what I heard and how it made me think about my role in all of this. And for one of my other classes, I'm doing sustainable food systems, and I even wrote about it in the post for this week for that class. Is that yeah, I've been eating some like organic vegetables from a friend's garden, but now after reading or hearing Silent Spring and realizing that even though something is grown organically, like who really knows what's in the soil, who really knows what's in the water that's being used to water the herbs. And it's just, I'm liking how everything, all my classes are really connecting with each other, and so that's why these two questions really, oops, low battery, stood out to me this week. Okay, looking forward to your responses. Have a good week.